We are starting with a Fox News alert. Pete Hegseth is making his first trip as Secretary of Defense this morning, traveling to Fort Bliss, Texas, to visit our southern border. Secretary Hegseth saying in a post on X, quote, POTUS wants 100% operational control of the border, and we will deliver. Border security is national security.
Absolutely right. And you know what? We've already seen results from the Trump administration's deportation push over just 2 weeks. Nearly 8,000 arrests and over 5,500 detainers have been lodged by ICE during just his first 2 weeks in office. Remember, he was sworn in 2 weeks ago today.
Secretary Hegseth is set to be visiting Joint Task Force North today, which is headquartered at Fort Bliss and has been providing support to the border mission so far. And we know this overall, and it stunned me with Maria. He said, Tom Homeland, border crossings are down 93%. Oh, my goodness, in 2 weeks.
I'm surprised 7% are still trying to get across because it's pretty much an iron curtain. Let's check in with Lawrence. Normally right here, right now, he's down in El Paso before he meets with Pete Hegseth, who's going to make his first trip to the southern border. And you know what, LJ? It makes perfect sense that the Department of Defense is involved in our southern border because that's the first line of defense.
Let me tell you, it's incredible what I'm seeing here. I've been covering the border for years, as you guys know, and I've never seen operational control this way. Essentially, we're reporting on the deterrent because you don't see a lot of runners. You don't see a lot of people trying to surrender themselves to Border Patrol because they can't get across the border. There is manpower like I've never seen. There's spirit like I've never seen. And yesterday I had the opportunity to talk to the Secretary of Homeland Security. This is what she said. Watch.
Today you also deputize the Texas National Guard as well, right? Why is that important?
Well, so now these National Guard members that are down here, they have full authority. They can, before I think they felt like they were facilitating the illegal immigration because they didn't have the authority to arrest and detain those that were breaking the law. Now they're fully deputized. They can go out there and get the bad guys and make sure that they're prosecuting them.
So, Lawrence.
And guys, just to put it in perspective, you can see it on their faces. The Border Patrol, they're different. They're happy. You're seeing smiles, hugs, because people can actually do their jobs again, Brian.
Lawrence, there's a groundswell of support. People are asking me, you know, why aren't you at the border, Brian? Why can't you go? And then I see the opening shot, and it's Lawrence on a horse. And that is, you know,
that explains it all.
Right. And no other explanation needed.
Brian, you've been on a horse. The horse just never moved.
Exactly. Hey, Lawrence, on a serious note, this means that the Texas National Guard will now have authority to arrest illegal immigrants. They didn't have that authority before.
That's exactly right. Because it's a federal statute, they really don't have the authority to do that. But that changed. It's something that many of us who've been out here have been calling for because they would always say, Greg Abbott, you have these people down here, they can't really do much because of the laws on the books. It's a simple fix. And Secretary Noem and the president did it. They just deputized them as federal agents. We see this a lot in federal task force as well, where they will deputize locals. They're doing the same thing for these National Guards as well, guys.
But it just goes to show you how it's the whole of government. It's not just the feds, particularly where you are down in Texas. It's Texas as well. So rather than, you know, us hearing for the last 4 years, oh, Greg Abbott, he can't even touch him because the federal authorities control the border. Now the state is helping the feds. Might not be the same case in Arizona or New Mexico, but it is in Texas.
So let me give some color to this. Some of this stuff has just been overcomplicated. All right, let me give you an example. Yesterday when we were on the horses with the mounting unit, one of the agents said, listen, some of our equipment is outdated. And I'm wondering, Secretary, if you can get this approved, you know. And she goes, I'll sign the invoice when we get back to the office. Like, let's just get this going.
Right.
This doesn't have to go through all this bureaucracy. If you guys need things to keep the American public safe, let's just get it going. And just to look on these guys' faces like, you can do that? We haven't been using the tools that we have authorized to us. And this administration, I know there's been some bumps in the road, but they're simplifying the process of getting things done.
Right. I'll tell you what, there's so many different facets to it, one of which is the crackdown of illegals in our midst, criminals first. And that has upset sanctuary cities and people, for example, in Los Angeles. You'd think they would have enough on their plate, but instead, at 9 o'clock in the morning, a social media post went out, go out and protest and shut down streets. And that's what happened. Let's fast forward to Los Angeles yesterday. Listen, watch.
So a lot of people were happy to know that Donald Trump, in a matter of 10 days, has almost arrested 8,000 illegal immigrants. But you see, there are pockets of our country that are not for it. This happened in L.A. They shut down the 101 freeway. Police described it as a non-permitted demonstration. Right. And a dispersal order was issued at 6 p.m. to get those protesters off the streets and off the freeway. People were waving Mexican signs and holding up other signs.
The way to win over America is not to wave the Mexican flag in America, by the way. Attention protesters, if you're watching.
If you could see a close-up on some of the signs, in addition to the flags of El Salvador and of Mexico as well, there were some signs that said MAGA stands for Mexicans Always Get Across. Also, don't bite the hand that feeds you. At 7 o'clock, they did call a tactical alert. They were worried that it could spiral into violence. None of that happened. But nonetheless, it was clearly an anti-ICE message. They were trying to make it very clear. There may be a new sheriff in town. We don't like the sheriff.
But, Lawrence, couldn't they have cleared that out? Couldn't they have cleared that out? A non-permitted demonstration. The streets got to be opened up. They could have cleared that out. I bet you there was a stand-down order.
Police are already overwhelmed in that area.
Well, there's some reporting on the ground, especially from some of my sources at LAPD. They were given the order to arrest, and then suddenly they were called off. So I don't know what happened there, but you cannot obstruct public traffic. You just can't do that. And then to your point, Brian, if everything is going so well in the countries that you hold the flags there, why don't you go back to those countries? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Also, when you look at what ICE is doing, what DOJ is doing, they don't have the resources for the second phase yet. These guys are burned out already, just going after criminals. Yeah. But it's because of some of the media reporting, some of the fear-mongering that's going out there, that they're saying things that are simply not true about what ICE
What do you mean?
And the rest of the Department of Justice is doing.
What do you mean by that?
Well, they're saying that they're going after American citizens, for one. Number two, they say that they're going after abuelas and going after children. They don't have the resource to do it. You're sending 20 to 30 guys in a stack to go after criminal aliens right now, people that have committed crimes. They don't have the resources to go door to door, to go to churches and all that. There's just not enough manpower right now to accomplish that. Number two, there is a difference between an American citizen being detained and questioned and getting information and then being put into jail and deported to another country. That happens all the time when you see traffic stops. Well, they'll detain, officers will get more information, and once they check everything out, they release people. But of course, the media is not adding that context.
Right. And the media in Los Angeles is showing exactly what we're showing right here. And keep in mind, the reason they did not arrest, there weren't massive arrests after that or during that, was it's a sanctuary city. It's a sanctuary state. Karen Bass doesn't want to arrest those people. Gavin Newsom doesn't want to arrest those people. And they like the idea, the messaging. Hey, look, you might see these raids all across the country, but there are people who are resisting Donald Trump, and that was the message they were trying to get across yesterday.
What is the morale on the border? What are the Border Patrol agents saying now that, we're about 2 weeks into his presidency?
They're happy. And I'm going to tell you something. These aren't people, look, they were grateful that the Secretary of Homeland came to the border, but it wasn't really about that. It wasn't really about politicians coming to the border. It's the fact that they can do their job again. They can go after the bad guys. They can go out on chases. They can take the drugs off the street. Remember, these same guys have been processing. You had the Whipgate situation with the Haitian migrants that was a total fraud, and they removed the Mountie unit from the border. which is stupid. These guys, these horses are trained in cutting to cut off runners as well as the drug cartels when they're trying to get product across the border. So there's been a lot of policy and a lot of demonization of these men and women. The morale boost is that they can finally do their job and be appreciated.
Right. And we appreciate you, Lawrence. We're going to check in with you shortly. Just so you know, it's not just in Texas. The mayor of Yuma came out, obviously, that's run by a Democratic governor, and says Yuma was on the front line of these issues. Trump is already transforming our border. The effective provisions securing the border were removed on the first day of the new Biden administration. Within months, I proclaimed another local state of emergency. I had meetings with DHS under Biden, Mayorkas. He said there's no change to the policies. He said, I was simply told the border was secure. And they finally did make some changes too little too late. Since Trump was inaugurated the second term, the volume of illegal migrants across the border is nearing the lows during his first presidency. The difference is action. That's in Arizona. You put to, you turned Arizona back to Trump for a reason, and he's producing.
Did you also see that Rick Grinnell brought home the 6 Americans from Venezuela, and now Venezuela's agreeing to take back their illegal immigrants?
And paying for the flights.
Exactly.
Ultimately, though, what it comes down to is the border and enforcing it is bipartisan. Democrats like it, Republicans like it, independents like it. We like having a border that is secure, and that's why Lawrence is down there.